Shelby with Farmhouse Living, and welcome back to our channel. Today we have my friend Michelle Howell, Vintage Home Designs. She is, I don't even know how to describe your gift, but it's not even crafting. It's these little DIYs for seasonal decor that are so clever and so beautiful, but still sophisticated and just genius. You're welcome. So we have toured Michelle's house, I think, a million times now.
3 or 4.
Yeah, quite a few. And so I will link all of those tours, but this is specifically for fall decor ideas. Just things that are either you can bring in from outside, DIY, just really easy, and I would say everything's affordable.
Yes.
If not completely free.
Exactly.
So I would say that the biggest thing that you have in here when I'm going through your home and I see your fall decor is things that you brought in from outside.
Yes.
And so let's just talk about cotton stems and what is this? Dried boxwoods?
Yes. Yeah.
Let's just talk about your favorite things that you've brought in from outside.
Okay. Well, I love dried hydrangeas and I use them year round. But the cool thing about if I cut them early in the year and they're the really pretty colors, by now they've dried out and they're just a real muted neutral, which is perfect for my fall decor. So I have them in baskets. I've made wreaths out of them. I just tuck them in a lot of places and I love the texture that gives, and it almost gives you the feel of having something live in the house, even though it's really not anymore.
Yeah. I
love using things in nature. Not only do they add just a layer of texture, and for me it's great because it's all neutral and I'm able to stay with my neutral color palette but add some character, but it was all free.
Yeah. It's decor foraging for that, and I feel like you've done an amazing job.
I love the thrill of the hunt. I love thrifting, estate sale shopping, and finding that treasure. Yeah. It's kind of that way for me with shopping the neighborhood or nature for things to decorate the home with. It's like, what can I find that's going to be different, that's going to add some character to my home and keep with my neutral palette? Yeah.
And so a lot of this stuff, do you store, like the cotton, does that stay out all?
It doesn't. That doesn't stay out all year, but I may put it in my kind of decor closet and just, like I said, lay it loosely, or I try to salvage a lot of it if I can. Usually I'll start over with hydrangeas because I have them. I dry them, but they will last for several seasons and I will keep them until the color just starts getting, it's just not pretty anymore.
You also have pumpkins, of course, which a lot of people do, but I love your placement because you are the queen of vignettes. Everywhere there's like these little sections of, oh, this is perfectly together, this is perfectly together. And I love how you did that with the pumpkins.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I love the white ones. I love the heirloom pumpkins, the unusual shape, and I usually buy those rather than the color. But
yeah, they're great. So we talked about bringing things indoors, and I want to talk about the DIY of the corn husk wreath specifically, because you share that on your blog, and I have never seen it anywhere else. So talk about the process and kind of any tips that you have.
Well, a little bit of a funny story about that. So a friend and I had this idea a few years ago. I wanted to try to make these wreaths. We were having a barn sale. I thought, oh, this will be really cool for the sale. So we found someone, a friend that had a cornfield. We drove 2 hours. We get out there and they had harvested the field the day before. But all the little pieces of the husk were all over the ground. Okay. I kid you not, it was at least 100 degrees. And we went around with these garbage bags and we salvaged all these, not knowing if we were going to be able to do anything with them. And they really turned out great because they're real full and almost fan-like. So I ordered wire wreaths on, I don't know, Amazon, Hobby Lobby or something, and just started working that around and wiring. And again, there's more about it on the blog. And I really wanted to make my own because my barn doors where they are huge. And usually a store-bought wreath is just dwarfed by these doors. And so I was able to solve that problem. I made these 3, maybe 4 years ago, and they still look great. I hang them on a nail in my upstairs attic closet, and they have preserved fine, and I have not touched them or redone them again.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
That's one of those things that will keep.
Well, you also made kind of a garland on your outdoor fireplace with the same corn husk. it's opened my mind for possibilities. Another thing that was a DIY that you use from outdoor is pine cones. You bleach pine cones. And okay, I have to just preface this with Mom and I tried this last year and failed. But I think it's because we bought pine cones that were scented.
And they may have a coating on them where it doesn't soak in. And that's a project I have actually tried about 7 or 8 years. It was before we built this house and I wanted to try it. I submerged it in this bucket and I kept waiting. It's not doing anything. So I gave up, threw them out in the backyard. The next season, I was outside to cut some blossoms off my peach tree and I saw something in the yard and I went and looked and there were all these bleached pine cones because I didn't realize that you don't see the bleaching until they're completely dried out. So I've had people message me and tell me I tried, it's not working. You have to, and again, there's a blog post about it. I tell all the details about it. But that was the one thing that I didn't. I thought I had failed at it too, and they turned out to be great.
Yeah. Look for some either in nature or unscented if you're gonna take on that DIY for sure. So you also, I would crown you right now. You're being crowned Queen of Tablescape.
Oh.
When I was going through your blog and I was looking for inspiration for fall, I just could. I mean, you have a football tablescape and a harvest and some from the garden. I don't know. Just every single one is completely different. Who would have thunk that you could do that many ideas? But also, it just made me want to come over for a meal. I would like.
Well, and that's the idea. I love to entertain. I love to host people, and I love for people to feel welcome and like they're special here. And when you go above and beyond a little bit and create those beautiful tablescapes, and it doesn't even have to be elaborate. When I say beautiful, I don't mean expensive or elaborate.
Yeah.
When people come over, they feel special because you went to this trouble for them.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't realize how much I loved tablescapes until I joined 4 other blogger friends January of 2021. And every month we do a theme and we rotate who chooses the theme. So it's not always my choice. And sometimes it's like
challenging.
Kind of throws me a curveball, like the football one.
Yeah, that was
great.
great.
A coastal one. There were some, but it has really challenged me to think outside of the box and try to use as many things as I already have. I don't want to go spend a lot of money on tablescapes that I may or may not ever create again. But it really made me realize how much I love doing the tablescapes.
I just think that's so cool. But you mocked up a little place setting in your front table. What do you call that? What do you call that area?
That's my dining area.
Your dining. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you've mocked that up, and I thought that was so neat. And I will link literally anything that's fall tablescape down below. But I love what you've mocked up. But you also have those little cards, the little DIY.
Yes, place cards that I did for a Thanksgiving tablescape a couple of years ago. So easy. And I do have a blog post of how to do those. But you can also alter those and change out the little decor that I put on the top. I used a wheat stalk for fall. But if you really think, you could use that for Christmas or Easter and just change out where I use the wheat for something else, and you could change out the quotes or the sayings and do it for any season or any event.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about was vignettes specifically, because I feel like, so we talked about, you have a blog post talking about styling your hutch, and I feel like that's something that if you could break down I don't know that I have that ability to kind of style those little sections, those little vignettes well. So if you want to talk about that I know it's not fall specific. Well, you did decorate this fall.
I did do this one for fall. I like to change that out for the seasons. I have a collection of white dishes and then the brown transferware. And a lot of times for spring and summer, to keep it lighter, more airy, I do the white.
Yeah.
And then I'll add little details of whatever the season is. Bunnies for Easter or eggs, that sort of thing. And then I pull in some of my brown transferware for this time of year, and I added a wheat wreath and some rattan pumpkins. And what I have found to be the easiest for me is I pull everything out.
Okay.
And I address one shelf at a time. I use vintage books for risers. If I stand back and look and think it needs to be a different height, I like to add some kind of texture to each shelf, whether that's the wheat wreath or it may be something greenery in the spring. Yeah. And so I address each shelf one at a time.
Okay.
I added a long mirror behind one to
I know. I love that.
open the space up, and it just reflects some light. I try to make sure I don't mimic the same, for example, 3 plates in a row. I don't want to mimic that same look on the next shelf.
Okay.
So if I want to do that, I alternate shelves.
Okay.
So there's a few details on there on the blog post about that. You can use anything you have. It doesn't have to be dishes or the vintage books, but you might get some ideas of things that you have that you could create the look using collections you have or things that you love.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like I know you for your brown transferware. Like it's in your main hutch and you're, everywhere. Anywhere you look.
It's a problem.
It's okay. I think it's you see that meme, that Instagram, like, I think I have a problem, but it's not hurting anyone. That's one of those things. Any other seasonal decorating tips for the YouTube? Well, I mean, I feel like we just gave so many tips, many, bringing things indoors, using what you already have, restyling spaces like a hutch or built-ins or shelves that maybe you're using already what you have, but you're just adding little sprinkles of seasonal decor. But I think what I would take from your house is that it doesn't have to be themey and it can still be sophisticated. And I feel like we do that, but on a different spin. Like you have a different style than us. We enjoy the same things, but we put a different stamp on it.
And that's a good point to make, because everyone doesn't have my style home, but you can incorporate some of the ideas from the things that we've talked about, regardless of what your style of your home is. You and your mom have one that's a little bit more modern than I, but you could definitely take any of these things we've talked about it and make it work in your home. And another thing I think that helps with mine is I do have an all neutral palette. So I'm able to bring in some different textures and layers without it getting so busy, for lack of a better way, because I have a neutral palette.
Yeah. So if you like a lot of stuff, I would say neutral is a good.
Because obviously I have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so I feel very inspired for fall. I have not done anything yet, but I feel like I can just forage. I can just go cut some things, change out my stems, even if it's dead, like it's dried up. That is fall. Yeah, and I love that. So I am very inspired and excited. And like I said, everything is linked, and you guys need to follow Michelle. Like, you are so inspiring for not only affordable decor, vintage decor, hosting recipes. I mean, you have so much to offer the world. So
thank you.
Tell them where to follow you.
You can find my blog at vintagehomedesigns.com, and I am Vintage Home on Pinterest, Instagram, and Facebook. Vintage Home Designs on all of this.
All of it. Yeah. And so I'm going to have it all linked. Also, I'm going to put in the cards right here Michelle's home tour, her everyday home tour. We also have a Christmas home tour. I mean, you could go and tour Michelle's home in so many different ways. We have one where we showed your treasure hunted finds. Yes. So you have so much inspiration, and we love to share you. So make sure you follow her and like, share, subscribe, comment. And I think that's it. Mom normally does the closing. She's watching the baby right now. So I'm like, how do we close this? Good job. Bye, guys.